Hey guys, I'm here with my stevia plant in my garden. This is it right here. And it's later in September, so I am going to show you how I process my stevia plant to make sweetener. And this is how it starts. So I'm going to take my shears here. And I'm going to prune pretty aggressively since it is the end of the season. And what I'm going to do with these is just wash them in the house and then dry them. This is what we are working with for drying. And once this is all dried completely, I'm going to dry it in the trunk of my car for about, I don't know, 4 days until it's nice and crispy, and then I'm going to store it in a container in the house. And basically the way I make sweetener is like a tea, so I'll show you how I do that in the future. George. We have our stevia here, and I'm just going to get this washed, and then we can go to the next step. Okay, so now we've got our lovely stevia. I'm going to shake this dry, but what I'm going to do is put it in a box, maybe on a paper towel in a box, and stick it in the trunk of my car. The high is 85 today. Since it's so hot in the car, it's a really great way to dry stuff really quickly. So I'm going to do that next. Okay, you can see I've placed some paper towels in this box. Alright, so that's it for now. We're going to wait for a few days for those stevia cuttings to get nice and dried out. They'll be completely crispy when you know they're done, which I'll show you in the future. It's probably going to take us about a week. It would go faster if we were in peak summer heat, but the coming week is going to be on the cooler side. I think tomorrow the high is only 62. So, and then I think we have some temperatures in the 70s in the coming week, but I think they're low 70s at that. So I think that it's going to take a little bit of time, but I will flash forward to the future and show you when they're ready. Alright guys, so I had my stevia, it's over there sitting on the floor, in the car, the trunk of the car, for actually about 2 weeks because I just happened to be out of town. But they are very crispy and dry. I have a canister here that is also nice and dry, maybe not crispy, but bone dry, very important, because I'm just going to be basically taking the leaves off of the stems and storing them in here. This is, you know, I just made sure it was nice and dry. That's just for the stevia we're storing. I do recommend storing most of it and then making small batches of the sweetener, which I'll show you in a minute. Okay, so these leaves don't quite fit on this plate, but you can hear how dry they are. You know, they just sound like dry twigs, which is precisely what they are. But you know, in each of these leaves there is a ton of that stevia sweet flavor. So we're just harvesting the leaves, and this is the boring part. Okay, finally done. You can see my stack of sticks here, and my container here is full. I had to mash it down a few times just to get everything in there. So now what I'm going to do is actually make a sweetening solution, and it's basically like a tea made from all of this stuff. We're going to be adding filtered water to this in addition to our stevia leaves. And You'll notice I'm adding the whole leaves. The reason I add the whole leaves like this, as opposed to grinding them in a food processor like this, is because I find that this is very green and planty tasting, and it doesn't I find I need to steep it in whatever I'm drinking for a while, whereas boiling these and just getting the steeping process done up front is going to eliminate the need to steep anything, because I'm just going to strain the liquid off of this, and that will be my sweetening. That will be my sweetener. It'll be like if you bought Stevia drops. That's pretty much what I'm making here. So I'm going to take this, get some water in there, and set it to boil. And we're going to pretty much boil this for, I'd say, an hour. Alrighty, we have been boiling for a little over an hour now. I've had the lid on the whole time and the heat on a lower setting, just so that this is prone to overflowing if you have the lid on. Looking a bit different now, so the heat's off, and I'm just gonna allow this to cool. Alrighty, so it has been a good while since I started this. It's been steeping for about 2.5 hours after I turned it off from boiling, and it was boiling for about an hour and 15. So all in all, 3+ hours of steeping in the juices. So what I'm gonna do now is just strain it. And you can let this sit longer. I've actually put this whole thing in the jar before and then refrigerated it overnight in the jar and then strained it afterwards. But today I'm just gonna be straining it here. Whoops, and all my leaves are flying everywhere. You might want to give them a squeeze if you feel so inclined. Alright, and there you have it. That is our stevia sweetener. And I love pouring this into coffee, but you can pour it in your tea. You can bake with it however you would use, regular old liquid stevia, and it is quite sweet. And I would refrigerate this. Just like anything else made from organic materials, this does go bad eventually, just like a tea would. Whenever you brew tea and store it in the fridge and for iced tea, it takes a while for it to go bad, but it will. So it's just best to err on the side of caution and use this, I would say, within 2 weeks. Nice and sweet. Woo!